All right, everybody, welcome. For guests and visitors, my name is Steve Perley, Club President. I'd like to welcome you all to the 16th meeting of the 47th year of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. We are officially a quarter of the way through. Not me. Today's invocation and pledge of allegiance will be offered by the one and only Shirley Lambert.
Thank you, Steve. Let us pray. This is from my favorite hymn for this time of year. For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, for the beauty of each hour of the day and the night, hill and vale and tree and flowers, sun and moon and stars and light, for the joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above, for all gentle thoughts and mild, Lord of all, we praise this our joyful hymn of praise. Amen. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Shirley.
Question, Steve.
Yes.
Aren't you a third of the way through? It's 4 months, right?
Yeah, that's a nice surprise. Thank you. Teresa, can you introduce? Yes.
Friend has guests.
Yeah, so Rob, you can stand, Angela, stand. So we have 2 guests with us. Well, actually 3 for speaker. But so our assistant superintendent for academics is Miss Angie Adrian. Many of you have known Angie for a long time. She's been in this role maybe 4 years now. Previously, was our principal at Worthington School. Rob Messenheimer is our new director of elementary education for Worthington Schools. Rob previously for us served as our principal at Worthington Estates Elementary. So just a little bit from here. And then our speaker is Julie Gawley. Many of you will get to hear from Julie here in a minute. Julie's our principal at Slate Hill Elementary School. We're really excited to have her back.
Welcome.
Okay. I believe it's time for the sergeant, which is Jerry Katz.
No, I heard that, Shirley.
Jerry, if you can use the microphone.
I think the pot is out there, and my friend Bonnie Beth is bringing it in, and she's handing it to our polio chairman. Yes, that would be you, Alan. That would be you. Take the pot. Yeah. Well, you're so good on your feet.
Yes.
Okay, we're looking for happy dollars. There's a happy dollar.
Okay, I got 5 happy dollars because I went on a trip last week sponsored by Romaro to Utah and the national parks and the Rocky Mountaineer, and it was amazing. She does an incredible job of planning things. And yesterday, for the first time since COVID, I got to do an activity at Thomas Worthington High School with the students, and that's what my crazy job is all about. And I was so excited to be there with the kids. It was a really nice afternoon. So
perfect.
I got a happy one too. They're finally letting me put an application in to get on Ohio Task Force 1.
Okay, there we go.
It's only taken 3 years.
3 years, yeah. Well, they knew what they were dealing with.
Yes, so.
Any other happy dollars? Any happy dollars on the Zoom call? Don't all speak up at once, please. Okay. Anything else? No other happy dollars, but a bunch of sourpuss people. Okay.
Well, I got a happy dollar. I just found out that I'm on my 3rd pacemaker.
That's better than not being.
So, yeah. Well, congratulations to the inventors. Okay.
I've got one.
Steve.
I can't remember if I shared this last week or not, but Rebecca and I celebrated our 10th anniversary We went up to Dravasi Vineyard and had a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't that 27 years of wind chill?
Yeah.
Okay. Those who had a happy dollar don't need to participate in the rest of this. You're exempt now from any other dollars. But the rest of you are in for, well, you know what you're in for because I have these dad jokes and you're already laughing. So you may as well take out the $2 because that's the limit. And as your treasurer, I've been looking at the social fund and the raffle fund and all of that. And believe it or not, in the last year or so, we've had a decrease in our revenues. So just get out your $2 because here they come, the worst dad jokes you've ever heard. What kind of music did the Pilgrims listen to? Plymouth Rock. What do you call, you're going to get these because, pardon?
Get it right.
Yep. No, it's not. Because I've been training you. You know how bad these are. So I've got your mind in the right place. What do you call a shoe made of a banana?
Slipper.
A slipper, that's correct. I like telling dad jokes. Sometimes he laughs.
That's a slow burn.
Hey, it is what it is. You know, Phil said we couldn't pick on people, so you have to suffer. That's all. Why don't skeletons go trick-or-treating? Because they have nobody to go with.
Oh, wow. Drop the mic on that one.
Can we pay to stop this?
Thank you,
Alan
Jerry.
will collect your fines.
Thank you very much for that. I'm actually going to try without the microphone because I think it's messing up the owl. Okay. Today we have a bit of club business to take care of, and that would be inducting a new member. So, fellow Rotarians, it is my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into membership in our club Jim Allen, whose name was proposed by Alan Grossman. This proposal has been reviewed and approved in accordance with our club constitution and bylaws. I now ask Jim to come up here with Alan. Come on up. Here's good.
It's like a double Allen.
Well, Jim Allen and Alan. Jim, we now proceed to admit you into membership in the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club and to the friendship of Rotary throughout the world. It has already been explained to you that the ideal of Rotary is service. Our principal motto is service above self. And the object of this club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal as a basis of worthy enterprise. It is expected that you will share in this effort. You have been approved for membership in this club because we believe you to be a worthy representative of your vocation, interested in the ideals of Rotary, and willing to do your share in translating these ideals into action. You have agreed to accept the obligation of membership in this club and to obey this club's constitution and bylaws. Now, I have the pleasure of asking your sponsor, Alan, to pin on the Rotary emblem. Now you get an extra.
Now you get another.
And we know that you will wear it with pride. Jim, welcome to the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. Fellow Rotarians, I'm happy to present to you Rotarian Jim Allen, our newest member.
We didn't pay up.
All right, moving right along, we have announcements. Dick, I believe you have an announcement.
All right, what time is it, Rotarian? Yes, it is poinsettia time. We go, potatos will go on sale the 1st of November. We got ravishing red, wondrous white, blushing pink, and marvelous marble, which is a cream and red combination. The costs, we are not playing with inflation. We are holding our own. $12 a plant or 10 for $100. And that means 10 plants per order. No combos. You can't get 5 from Joe and 5 from Mary and call it a 10. You've got to have single orders of 10. Pickup and delivery will be December 8th. We'll record your sales online, and Jim Miller will tell you how that's going to happen. And we'll announce sales every Wednesday, starting next week, the 3rd of November. Our goal is to sell at least 500 plants. The stretch goal is 600. So let's get out and sell. Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
If I order 11 plants, how much does the 11 cost?
$12.
Thank you. Spoken by the treasurer. Thank you.
Do we have a handout for this? Like,
Yes. Next
is that
week
on the website?
Next week it'll all be coming out. It'll be online and physically we'll have handouts here.
Thanks.
Any other announcements? Okay. Just a reminder, the Rotary timeline in support of the strategic plan. I sent it out a couple weeks ago. It looks like a few people have already started putting some information in there. If you have been putting it off, put it off no longer. I'd like to have it, you know, a lot more in there by the end of this month if possible. And just to also reiterate, going forward, we will be meeting at lunch in this room every week. We've got it sorted out. We're good. Until Trillium wants us back in. Okay, I think that's it for announcements. I think it's time to introduce our program for today.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce, Julie Gully. Julie is the principal at Slate Hill Elementary School. Slate Hill is one of the great schools here in Worthington. Julie has been there. This is her second school year there. She comes to Worthington from Northeast Ohio. She's had a significant career in education, so we are excited to have her so she can share some of the information about the school, but also how we as Rotary can partner with Slate Hill to support students in Worthington schools. So please welcome Julie.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I guess it's afternoon. Good afternoon. Sorry, it's cool. Glad to see everybody and those that are online. So just a little bit, first of all, thank you for having me here today. Excited to be here. I've always been a person that's been very, very involved in community. So now that I've been here, year two, kind of in a different kind of time to move to a new city and come to a new district in COVID time. But this has been my year of wanting to be sure I get involved in the community because that's a big part of who I am. And I also realize that Slate, that's a big part of who we are at Slate Hill. So just to back up a little bit about kind of how this conversation even started before I talk about Slate Hill, is Nick reached out and sent me a little survey information. We're looking at if you're interested about community. And I was like, ooh, yes. And filled out all that information of different ideas and started talking with our staff about we could have a partnership with the Rotary. How exciting could that be to have, you know, a bond with them, to have volunteers regularly be in our building. So a little bit about Slate Hill, because several people here have come, did a little visit. We did a tour. We're located on Alta View, right off of Worthington Woods. And when I first moved to the area, I didn't really understand Worthington is in Columbus and Worthington. You learn that when you move to the Columbus area. We are about 51% free reduced lunch. We are a very diverse school. We have several different languages, but our main languages a lot of our students speak are Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic. We are a K-5 building. We have 3 classrooms per grade. So we're right now about 453 students of an amazing, I call them rock star staff. We are the Slate Hill Stars. They are rock stars and our kids are rock stars. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Julie. I wondered if you would consider speaking without your mask.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I was just being polite.
Reading lips is
absolutely.
Thank you.
I was trying to talk really loud. Do you want me to start? Do you want me to start?
At home.
Okay. Okay. So that gives you a little bit about our background. We are kind of where we're nestled. A lot of our families live in apartments, so sometimes our population is a little bit transient, but we also have a lot of house neighborhoods in our area. But we have a really involved community, but at times for our families, because a lot of them are working, that they're not always there. So we're always looking and reaching out to area organizations. We're partnered right now with Worthington Christian Church, is one that's been a partner of Slate Hill for about 20 years. And they regularly come to volunteer, helping us like do landscaping and things like that with some of our kids. We do have some this year doing some after school activities that our teachers do, but really a lot of times it's just our like local group. So my goal was really to help build partnerships within our community. And so that's kind of what we're hoping. So after I did that little survey with Nick, we had a conversation with Mr. Butterfield, right? I'm not sure I say John Butterfield, for quite a long time talking about ideas. And I'm throwing this name out. This is not necessarily the name. We just kind of, I think people that come in are very important people that come into the building. So we were kind of just calling it like the VIP program. Mr. Butterfield talked about, I think several of us that met talked about trying to connect that name and maybe changing it to something connected to the Rotary, which we totally could do that. And we were kind of just brainstorming things that we, could use or support. And I'll tell you right now, particularly in COVID, what I'm seeing is our kids need someone to talk to and visit with and build that relationship. We're in our masks a lot of times. And so sometimes the kids come in sad or, frustrated about something and they just want somebody to talk to. And a lot of times with our room with 26 kiddos and a teacher, you always get to gauge on that, but building that relationship. So we would want that as a key part of building relationships with students and with our staff. But in that relationship, then focus on maybe just reading with students or listening to them read or practicing some math facts, just something like getting to know who they are, about what they're at, and you sharing who you are and your experiences. I think our kids get they don't have a lot of opportunity to talk to. As I see this room, I know there's a lot of ladies in the room, but the gentlemen that are in the room, sometimes kids don't always have the dads in the building. So that's awesome to have other men in the building for them to talk to also. We'd love for you to attend classroom events. I do have to apologize. I should have invited you last Friday to our Fall Fun Fest. But it came up on me so quickly. I was like, oh, I missed that one, but we will have more. But we would want you to come to those, like this Friday is supposed to be the Halloween parade. If it doesn't rain, it will be outside. Otherwise, it'll be inside, online, live streamed on Instagram. But something like that, have you come when the kids are in their costumes and just see and be part of what goes on at Slate Hill. Like I said, talk with students, come and have lunch with them. We are at a little distance where we have lunch, but sitting with them and having lunch. And then also the Rotary brought up a great suggestion when I met with some of them, is of being a resource for our parents. We are looking at doing some kind of parenting classes, talking about financial stuff and different kind of thing. We were just kind of brainstorming as a team or other community resources, letting families know that this is available or that is available. So I really want to tap into all of you and what great resources and knowledge that you have to share with our students and our families also. So it's not totally defined, but yet we want to use your skills and our skills and work together to benefit our kids. So we just kind of had talked about, depending on the number of volunteers we would have, we'd either pair that volunteer with a grade level or with the teacher and kind of work with what we're comfortable with. Maybe we're not going to do all K-5, maybe we'd be more comfortable doing the little ones, depending on numbers of volunteers that we had. The teacher and the VIP, or what we call them, Rotarian, would work together, kind of design what you would like to do, because everybody's comfortable with different things. So we would want it to be valuable for you as well as for the kids and for you to feel comfortable in what you're doing with the students. It could be once a month, more or less, depending again on the activities or your availability. And of course you'd be invited too, because you'd be Slate Hill family to all those family activities. We do have several staff members and myself that are kind of already part of our VIP program. These 3 staff members, our library media specialist, one of our 5th grade teachers, one of our intervention specialists, and myself. we'll work even with the team to kind of talk and design what we want it to be. So they're excited to be working with our Rotary partnership. So what questions you have? I know I've met with a lot of different people. I know you've talked about things in different stages. So go ahead, sir.
Just out of interest, you mentioned 51% of your students come from households, well, they're qualified students qualify for free or reduced cost scholarships. Is that the highest percentage in the district?
Yes, we are currently the highest percentage.
Overall, our average is probably 28%. We have, other schools that are sitting in that 30–35% range. So we have a couple schools that are 3–4%. Right over on the other end, 51%.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor this. What's the school with the second highest?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say that Brookside is right there. Brookside Elementary is in that range. But
in the 40s. Yeah.
We don't have anybody in the 40s, so there's a jump there. So it's 30s.
Okay, thanks.
And I would say too, I mean, only, like I said, this is year 2 for me, but with COVID, a lot of families between different jobs too. And so it does fluctuate, but it's about average rates. Good question.
I maybe wasn't listening, but where is the school located? I don't know.
So we're off of, I'll do my best directions as I'm still not that totally great, but I don't know if we call it, so off of 23 Worthington Woods, we're right, like tucked back in. I always say, like, when you see the other schools, we're kind of hidden, I feel like. So if you go down Worthington Woods across from where there's a storage place.
So Campus View.
Campus View, I was like, what are the big roads?
Okay.
Campus View, that's
yeah.
I'm still the girl from Akron, Ohio, learning Columbus, so I'm sorry, not always the best in directions as I was looking for that. Yeah. I was going to say, yes, sir.
So I'm married to a very experienced retired teacher with thousands of welcome.
Absolutely. I was hoping you were going to ask that question. Absolutely. For sure. We'd love that. Yeah, we'd love to see that, whatever. Yes, sir.
How many different languages are involved?
Well, so our main ones were the 3 that I mentioned, Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic. We do have other ones. I think we just looked last week. I think we're at a total of 12 identified. We do have some 12 main ones, but our main 3 that have a larger part of our population are Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic.
Do you have a specialist?
Yes, we have 2 EL full-time teachers, and then we have, well, we have actually 4 total EL teachers, but they're shared between a couple buildings. So one's there in the morning, one's there in the afternoon. And then also an amazing thing in Worthington is we have what's called bilingual assistants, where they speak that fluent language. So we have a Spanish, Portuguese, and Arabic bilingual assistant that work with families and students to help with their learning, which is amazing. I've never seen that anywhere. I think that's a wonderful thing we have here in Worthington, which is an asset to us. At Slate, we have the Spanish bilingual assistants with us full time. And she spends a lot of time working with students and with families, particularly too when families enroll. They work at our Welcome Center and help get those families all set up. So exactly. Questions? Yes, sir.
How do you see the timing if I'm a volunteer? Not overall, but during the day. What would be the times of the day that I would be volunteering?
You could have any time from the start to end of the day. Honestly, we would love it at any time. Our day starts at 8 o'clock and our kids leave at 2:45. So if you're a person who loves the morning, I want to come in the morning and greet them and spend a little time in the morning, or a midday person, and maybe that's lunchtime, but could visit with kids and see kids during lunchtime, that's great. End of the day, wrap the day up.
Well, I'm a retired banker. That sounds like the hours I always work.
So you just come all day, full time. Sounds good to me. And I will say there was a small group, a few of the gentlemen here that, and I know Jennifer Lace, that came to the building. So if you want to, like, thinking about doing that, wanting to volunteer, but kind of want to get the scope of the land, you are more than welcome to come to, and I'll give you a tour and talk with you more. I know we had a smaller group. I don't know what the committee, there's different committees I know that the club has. They came and we did that. Yes, sir.
we are fortunate to have a relationship with Twin Rotary Club in Mongolia. This May, we will have teachers coming. Several years ago, we had teachers. Trent, they went to Colonial Hills. Is that right? We'd be delighted if maybe we could get them involved with you guys. Secondly, we have variously on Sundays and maybe a little more weekdays. Once a month, we have Zoom chats where we put good speaking English kids in Mongolia together with our children here. Any of your young people that might find that fascinating, we'd be really delighted to get them involved.
Yeah, they would love that. I know John did mention that to me before about that, and he felt like it was a really good partnership for that reason. And we would absolutely love that. That'd be amazing. Yes. And we're always looking at, different connections outside. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the free breakfast program? They come in and have breakfast?
Yes, and this year, district-wide, because of the federal thing, we all have breakfast. The students get breakfast, but yes, we do.
Yes, I had spoken with you a while back.
Well, right now our breakfast is actually sent home just due to our COVID protocols, but we do.
Far out. Wondering if you can
do anything for the weekend for them to have food.
They send like the extra breakfast for Monday, but there is not like the extra lunches or things like we did before, because kids get lunch every day. But we do have, I have put together a list of resources for families. As soon as I got here, that was something I had in previous districts where I was principal. I real quick have already volunteered myself at the resource pantry and signed up there, got that on my list, and just any kind of area resources for families. So if some of our families need that, I have a whole link of different things. I've set them up at the Salvation Army and make contacts there for them. That's something that's, I think, is my job as school principal, to be sure I can help them with that. So I do try to do that.
Hey, Julie.
Pardon me? Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You ought to repeat the questions for our.
Yeah, sorry. And then somebody just asked something. Sorry. Hi. Good to see you. I know somebody here asked a question.
Hey, Julie, can you talk, are there restrictions because of COVID still going on in terms of visiting the schools and your school and working with kids? And what are the things we need to know about in regard to that?
Great question. So we definitely can have volunteers. We just have, actually this year, it's volunteers wearing a mask, following those restrictions, going through the background checks and all those things that we do. We have actually some of our students are going on a field trip on Thursday, and they're going with volunteers and with masks. And so we're doing a lot of normal things just with the masks, and again, doing the background checks and things, just our volunteer procedures, which I can share when we're ready to go.
Hey guys, we do have to do that background check, so you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But
pretty much we're doing our job in mask full time, you know.
Is the background check like, is it at the, where do you do?
So we do it at the Worthington Education Center, and so we actually have different levels of background checks. So volunteers that come in and work with kids under the supervision of the teacher. It's, you come in, you put your fingerprints on the machine. It's a computer generated test. Like if we're gonna supervise an overnight trip or actually be the teacher, then it's a full FBI UCI background check. That wouldn't be what we're talking about here. So we just call it a volunteer background check. So we do those in our office. They do them all day long. There's no cost for it. You can just call and let them know you come. But we have people that do them all day long.
So would the criminal
pictures on the wall that say
so the criminal backgrounds of our members.
Basically, so you have that ID that, you know, and I took mine off right before, because honestly, I share with Dr. Bowers that I had a spider hat on and a spider outfit on before I came. So I did take that off to be a little more professional. And then, you know, they would have liked it. I could show you a picture. But I took my ID off and I was like, oh, I forgot that. But that would just have you, you know, you'd have a regular ID where you just sign in, you come, you go to your classroom. You know, it wouldn't be, you know, the first time until we know it, but then be like, oh, here's our Slayville family. So that's really why you do have that ID. So we have we call her grandma. There's a lady in first grade. All the kids call her grandma. She was a regular volunteer in Mrs. McHugh's class, and she couldn't volunteer last year. We didn't have volunteers, but this year right away, she called Mrs. McHugh and said, Grandma's ready to volunteer. So she has her badge. She is there every day. And today is Spider Day, which is why I was all in spider gear for first grade. And so she was in there taking pictures with the kids with spider webs and doing all kinds of things. So we love to have regular volunteers, and we'll do whatever you're comfortable with. But if you're comfortable with jumping in, she's doing some pumpkin cooking or carving next week or something, because that's what she wants to do. And we can do that with protocol safely, one at a time and distant. So we want to do that too with what you're comfortable with. So we love it.
We talked a little bit about some of the requirements that the school has because of the free lunch and the number of students who are eligible for that. Can you talk about some of those additional programs that we have to offer?
And so we have what's called a parent advisory council. We have been incorporated that within our PTA meeting. So we kind of our PTA meeting, and then we have like a mini parent advisory council where we try to do something parent related, which this would be a perfect thing if we were talking about that parent type of information. We're going to share, like next PTA meeting, I'm going to do something about parenting with parents. A counselor and I have talked about some ideas. So we'll do that as part of our parent advisory council. We surveyed our parents that were there at our meeting and just asked what kind of things they want to see. And then we're going to eventually send another survey out. But we do things like they were talking about learning at home, how to set up that workplace at home. So we're going to talk about things like that next, I think it was this month or next month. So we gave them some different topic areas. We also do things like a math and literacy night. Last year we did it online, so we're not in person. This year we hope to have it in person. We do like game stations, parents rotate to different things. So part of us doing that is we have to have parent engagement activities. So that would be a great way for us to partner and have you all there, maybe running a station or assisting with the station with the teacher, meeting parents as parents rotate to different activities. So that's a lot of different things that we do. We added in our newsletter from our PTA and Parent Advisory Council parenting tips. So we have a little like tip of the week, and our staff is giving different tips about reading or other little ideas. Everybody signed up for a slot and they give us a different tip that we added to our newsletter because our parents said it really helped. So we can say, school said it'd be a great idea that you do this. And so we thought we'd kind of support the parent that way. Yes, sir.
I've always heard that kids are much better at picking up language than some of the older folks. Thinking about the young person without the skills, starting school is an awesome thing. Can you talk in general about the evolution of your skills?
Well, there's an assessment that the
Julie, we couldn't hear. We couldn't hear Courtney. Could you kind of?
He was asking about the evolution of kind of a student skill that comes in, maybe speaking Spanish or a different language, and how that kind of works. So did that make sense? So there's an assessment that we do, state assessment for all our students that are EL students, and it kind of levels them out at a certain level and gives that EL teacher a place to start and where to start. So you could really have a first grader and a third grader in that same class because maybe at their level, you know, that's where they are as a reader and as a learner. But as they grow and change, then they can switch the different levels and you would do different kind of learning activities. Interesting enough, our staff this year is also doing a book study on the emerging EL learner and working on like literacy and how we can help and for us to even better understand the levels of a learner and EL learner, which also helps us literacy across the board with all students. And it's been really interesting on that, what you said, that evolution, because we're looking at like that beginning EL student that sometimes you're like, oh, is it going to click? And then you see that emerger that all of a sudden you're like, poof, oh my gosh, their speaker. You're just talking about a particular third grader that last year I struggled so hard to get, just to be sure he understood me. Now I can't, now I'm like, stop talking for a second. You know, he's almost saying so much and he's so excited because he's able to communicate that. Another cool benefit at Slate Hill is that we have a Spanish teacher. So we also have Spanish as a related art. So our students, our English speaking students are exposed to Spanish. And it's really cool to see our Spanish speaking students say, no, that's not the way you say, as they're practicing. They're like, no, that's not the way you say it like this. Or like how they share something like in Portuguese, a different way to do it. And that's something, and one reason we're doing our book study this year is we want to be sure we're embracing those different languages and celebrating and publicizing them all over our building. So when you're teaching fractions, you might say, and I don't know what half is in Spanish or Portuguese, but you know, put that up in those languages to also help our kids make those connections. So it is really exciting to watch and see, but it's a process too, just like in any learning.
How many times during a year do you assess your skill?
I'm like, it's how many times a year do they assess? I think it's at least twice. You know, that's a great question. In some cases, it's three. I was gonna say, I think it's 3, but I think it depends. I know it's at least 2, right? Okay, that's right.
Hey, just so everybody knows, we have over 1,000 kids in Worthington schools who, when they self-identify, say English is not their first language, not the language spoken. So about 600 of them actually qualify for these English language learner services. And over 1,000 of our students would say English is not the first language in the home. Which is really just shows, again, the change throughout our country, throughout the suburbs. It's a fascinating, and I don't, 58 different languages. Yeah. So usually, mentions really what are the top 3, but significant numbers of families who speak a different language.
When I think about it, to me, it's just overwhelming. How do you deal?
Sometimes overwhelming for us too.
Right. And how large is your student body overall?
So about 11,000. So I mean, that's like 8%. But when I frame it as 8%, it's a high number. Not 1,000 kids, like to me, that still blows me away, right? That percentage of families, and again, a number of the students are such good English speakers at this point, they don't qualify for those English language services, so don't do that. That's where we are.
And I think, Courtney, on what you said, we try to when you do placement, you know that about kiddos. All kids like to have a buddy in a sense in class. So you also try to pair and help students have support. I think about a kindergarten class I was just in this morning. I have a little girl who's just like Dr. Bauer said, a fluent speaker in English, but speaks Portuguese. And a little girl just moved in who does not speak a lot of English, but sitting next to her little buddy, she has picked up on English so quickly because her little friend will just turn to her and go, oh, no, I got it. You know, I don't even have to tell her. She is the best. I told her dad last week. She's just like, I got it, Mrs. Scully. Because I was like, well, I have to look up on my app. Hold on, give me a second. And she's like, quickly can just tell her. So we work really hard to do that so that our friends also feel like they have a buddy that they can, talk to and help them and stuff. So, yes, sir.
So I'm still trying to understand if we talked once a month, how that would fit in with all this. I mean, given these people here, how would the engagement work to be helpful to them in the language situation?
Well, you can come more than once a month. That was just an idea. Well, you are more than welcome to come. And when we had talked about, I think as a group, it was kind of, we were just still a question. We didn't know what the commitment level was of, all of you. If you wanted something once a month, and everybody comes that same day and that's the day, or if it was based on your own personal schedule. I actually just received a call yesterday from Costco warehouse that they do volunteers. And I asked her the same questions. I said, so are you talking once a week? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I always think it's more about what you want to give. Cause I could tell you, I would love to have you Monday through Friday from 2 to 4, I could just say that. But if you can't do that, or that becomes burdensome for you, then you're not going to get as much out of it either. And I think when you have that volunteer partnership, it's really that you are committed to that time and that's the time you want to go. When my example, looking at Nick, I signed up for the resource pantry. I said to Krista there, I said, I'm going to do every other month on a Wednesday. I'm going to make that commitment. Well, I started in September and then August, it was a little off. But now I'm like, okay, November is my once. And that's what I could do, even though I know they need it every day, but I knew what I could commit to. So I think it really starts with what you're able to commit to. We will make it work. We can get that kind of figured out. We can coordinate or assign you or match you with a teacher or grade level. but it is a commitment because kids do expect it once a month.
I don't think it has to do with language acquisition.
No, and I was going to.
That's an interesting thing going on Slate, but I think positive role models, I think connections with students. I also will say, I think connections with teachers can be a positive role model for our teachers and some of those relationships. And even if you're just a support for the teacher who feels like I've got this person who cares about me and supports me a little bit, I think there's real value there and they're the teacher.
And I was just going to say that's just a little piece of us, but we just love you to come in.
Well, I'm thinking of this from your side of things because among us are quite a few, including me, retirees who have a huge momentum of schedule, including medical appointments, and some of us disappear for 3 or 4 months to a warmer climate, and trying to figure out how we could possibly make some kind of a commitment with that situation. It's more complex than it may seem, but I think there probably still is interest. I would be. I'm just already thinking November, December are gone, and then I'm gone.
Right. And I think even if we thought of it like a calendar, and maybe on your calendar, it's that, you know, we have that same little calendar, maybe that's how we look at it, and you plop your name in that, you know, and we talk overall with, and I could, you know, I could be the person or those teachers I mentioned, reach out to you then as an individual volunteer and what are you comfortable with? And then we could work to place you in that spot because maybe that works better in a schedule. I understand it. I love the warmer climate part, which also that's awesome. But, you know, and I understand that you want to be sure you're there too. But I think if we knew that scheduled time and the kiddo, oh, we'll be back in January and be going to tell us about his trip when he gets back from Florida. I'll just assume, you know, that would be great too.
When we tutored at Forest Park, we came to our partner, so we did every other week. And we tutored in the library. The student ate their lunch, and then we practically worked with reading. But you're right about that because you know, you're not a teacher per se. And when I said, well, I really am not a teacher. I'm a baker. And they're real excited to hear about the outside world. Yes. And they really like to talk and tell you their story and to listen and form this bond with them. And they really look forward to the visit and you look forward to seeing them again. And they really progress along. Absolutely. That's how we did it. We were a team every other week.
That's a great point and a great idea too to team up. We did have I'll say another grandma, I cannot think of her name, I think it was Carol, that's a regular volunteer in 2nd grade who could not come in, but she was on Zoom. And we called it the Zoom station. I would go, hi Carol, how's it going? Stuff in. The kids would just tell them their story and she would ask them questions about their weekend. She just talked to them. We set the computer right up on the desk and the kids would come out one at a time and visit with Carol at the desk. And the kids loved it. They loved it. And they'd go, Carol's here, you want to talk to her? I'd come over and like talk to her. So it was just some engagement. Like you said, just telling her story, asking them, because as soon as you ask it, it doesn't matter how old they are. But, you know, K5 kiddo, how was your weekend? Did you do anything fun? Like, oh, you went there? Oh, you have a dog? Oh, you have a dog? Oh, yeah. Don't ask the kiddo if they have a dog. You hear everything about their, you know. But if you want to have a great conversation, you start asking them some of those questions. And that is totally what they need.
So Julie, I have a couple observations. One is, first of all, you can tell that Alan is a former CEO. He's already trying to get it organized. And also, really, it depends on how you talk about how individuals who want to do this how they want to impact. Do I want to impact the child? Do I want to mentor a parent? Do I want to establish a relationship with the family? It's all what we want to get out of it, as well how we can help. The other thing is the reason we felt you were a good match, Slate Hill, is because we also have a sisters club relationship with a club in Dominican Republic, which is Spanish speaking. And we thought maybe there's some connections with kids and families with the two clubs. So, and that could support us too. And finally, your school now has the configuration where it's going to go to Perry Middle School, your
yes, sir. Yep.
6th graders, and then also to Kilbourne High School, Worthington Kilbourne High School, which is where we have clubs that are student clubs that are affiliated with us. So we could see this as a possibility of strengthening those clubs, because your kids will know about Rotary from their elementary school experience into middle school and into high school. So.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure of next steps, but I have a committee ready to meet with whoever and ready to do what we need to do. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, and the rest of the school team and the committee that's been working hard to put this together. I think there's a lot of anticipation and excitement and just a lot of positive things that can come out of this. So I think it's tremendous. Our speaker next week will be Kathy Jackson from I Support the Girls, which is a nonprofit with the goal of distributing essential feminine items to those in need. I think a couple of our members have already done some work with the school with that organization. So it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say. And before we wrap up, we do have a raffle. Bonnie.
$11 in the daily raffle.
$11 in the daily.
Double digits. 4 digits are 5990.
5990.
No. That be you?
Whoa!
I know.
I can't believe it now. I was so. You waited long enough there. Right?
Ace of Spades is $202.
Oh.
Getting a big one.
Big. Yeah.
Okay, the last 4 digits are 5988.
5988.
All right.
That's never happened before.
Now maybe you can get a reach on that $20.
But now you got to win it. Don't let us down. I know. I won twice. That's about it for another 50 years.
What do we got? 7 of clubs. No good. All right. Well, as is tradition, please join me in the 4-way test as soon as I find it.
It's right.
Right here.
But the people online got to get it.
They should know it by now.
Yeah, they get
They're
it.
staying home. They have plenty of time to memorize.
You should be here.
We're going to do it right, because that passes the 4-way test. All right. Ew, whatever. All right, 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First,
Is it true?
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and 4,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
thank you all. We are adjourned.
There was a lot of people that were doing just that. That's why we got the